chapter. I am known as what is called a gun survivor. I have 3 sons, but my youngest son, Daryl Dennis II, was gunned down in Atlanta on December the 3rd, 2018. He was 22 years old when he was killed, and he was shot 12 times by 4 different people. The Everytown Action Plan. In order to break down the pattern of gun violence, the Everytown Action Plan sets those priorities. It is straightforward. 5 policy priorities that will make a sizable impact on reducing the gun violence. These priorities include policies that have the overwhelming support of the American people, including clear majorities of Democrats, Republicans, independents, gun owners, Trump voters, and self-identified conservatives, according to a recent polling from Everytown. When we think about putting these policies into action, keep in mind the history of other advocacy movements: Mothers Against Drunk Driving, tobacco industry, AIDS epidemic, seatbelt laws. Change didn't happen overnight, but it happened. By many people saying this is not right and working on the issues, they brought change. As we go through these policies, they are by no means comprehensive. Think about the part you can play to shift our culture around guns and gun violence. Background checks are the foundation of GVP work. Specifically, more than 3.5 million illegal gun sales have been blocked in the past 25 years. The problem is that loopholes exist. Half of all Americans live in states where prohibited persons can skip a background check by going to a private seller, unlicensed dealer, or online marketplace. Private sales of long guns in Maryland do not require a background check today. Prohibited people can readily go to armslist.com, a private seller, a gun show, and get a gun. An investigation of people looking to purchase firearms on armslist.com revealed that 1 in 9 prospective buyers were prohibited. Another loophole: today you can buy a gun before your background check is completed. The Brady Bill allows a sale to proceed if a background check has not been completed within 3 days. The Charleston church shooter was able to proceed with his purchase after 3 days. We also need to close the accountability loophole. If individuals fail a background check, we need to allow law enforcement to hold those individuals accountable for trying to circumvent NICS, and that stands for the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, maintained by the FBI. State laws requiring background checks for all handgun sales are associated with lower firearm homicide rates, lower firearm suicide rates, and lower firearm trafficking. We know that background checks make a difference. When Connecticut passed a law requiring handgun background checks for a purchase permit and at the point of sale, the state experienced a 40% reduction in gun homicides and a 15% reduction in gun suicide. We also know that this is a place we can find common ground. 85% of American voters support background checks for all gun sales, and it was broken down with Democrats 91% and Republicans 79%. This is extremely complex. Here I will break it down into a few parts. Research matters because it leads to effective solutions. In 1966, Congress enacted standards that led to funding highway and motor vehicle safety research. Resulting new safety regulations eventually led to a stark decline in deaths, cutting the rate of mortality by 54% from 1972 to 2017. In 2017, firearms killed substantially more people in the U.S. than did motor vehicles for the first time in modern history. To give current comparison to research funding, Hypertension research is funded at $30,000 per life lost versus $150 per person killed with a gun. City gun violence. One analysis found that in 2015, half of all gun homicides in the U.S. took place in just 127 cities, which together contain less than a quarter of the country's population. What new tools would help law enforcement? Combat the fact that 1% of federally licensed firearm dealers are responsible for selling almost 60% of the guns that are found at crime scenes and traced to drug dealers. By the way, there is currently no federal anti-trafficking law, making it all too easy for criminals to exploit weaknesses in the system and flood communities with illegal guns. This is a consequence of, in part, of lack of requirements to report stolen guns, ability to purchase guns in large quantities, and antiquated law enforcement systems to trace guns. Another sobering fact: communities of color are disproportionately affected by gun violence. 31% of gun murders occurred in 50 cities with the highest murder rates, though only 6% of Americans live in these cities. Individuals in these cities are 5 times more likely to be murdered with a gun than Americans overall. Nearly 7,500 Black Americans die by gun homicide every year, a rate 10 times higher than that of white Americans. The majority of Black American gun homicide victims are males between the ages of 15 and 29 years old. Black males are shot and injured in gun assaults at a rate of 15 times higher more than white males. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I am the Southern Maryland group's Be Smart lead, which I will be telling you about in a little bit. A little about my background: I was a senior at Virginia Tech when the shootings there happened. By the grace of God, I was not in the building that day, and there are a lot of similar stories to that. I'm a new mother, and once I had my son, just being upset and angry and lots of tears is no longer enough, so I joined our group.